You weren't quiet because you were weak. You were quiet because you were loading the gun they forged from your pain. You learned early. When the world speaks, you listen. When the world laughs, you remember. When the world doubts you, you sharpen your hunger. You watch them celebrate your failures like holidays, smiling as if your pain was entertainment, clapping like hyenas around a wounded lion. Funny, isn't it? People don't clap for your victories. They clap for your collapse. And every time they did, something inside you mutated. Not bitterness, not defeat. Something colder, something forged in the marrow of isolation. You tasted solitude. Not the soft kind, not the romantic kind where someone checks on you at midnight, but the kind that cracks bone and reshapes souls. The kind where the silence feels like a battlefield and the only voice you hear is the one whispering, "Get up." You sat alone while others had crowds. You stood in shadows while they posed in spotlights. You swallowed pain while they drank comfort, and they thought that meant they were ahead. Every room judged you. Every whisper weighed you. Every eye pretended you were invisible until you were useful. Funny how people see you only when they need something, but when you needed someone. Silence, vacancy, ghost town. They thought you were harmless because you kept your storms inside. You didn't scream. You didn't beg. You didn't show your breaks. They mistook your quiet for surrender, not strategy, because they don't understand the ones who build in silence. They don't understand the ones who train with no audience. They don't understand the monsters who grow in the dark. They called you lost, not knowing lost things learn maps no one else can read. They called you weak, not knowing strength grows fastest in shadows. They called you ordinary, not knowing legends always start disguised as nobodies. They don't know history. They don't know Caesar bled before he conquered. They don't know kings sleep in dirt before they sit on gold. They don't know storms are quiet before they break the sky. So they talked, they mocked, they pointed fingers with hands too shaky to face their own reflection. They laughed like you'd never rise. They whispered like their opinions were destiny. They bet against you like fate was theirs to command. Poor fools. They didn't see what silence was doing to you. They didn't feel what isolation was carving into your spine. They didn't taste the steel being poured into your blood. You didn't disappear. You transformed. You learned the art of restraint. You learned the language of loyalty by surviving betrayal. You learned discipline from hunger, patience from humiliation, and power from emptiness. You became dangerous by staying silent, because silence isn't absence. It's incubation. It's construction. It's preparation. It's rebirth dressed as retreat. And while they played comfort, you sharpened character. While they chased noise, you built control. While they drowned in validation, you forged solitude into armor. You didn't fold. You didn't break. You didn't lose yourself in the noise. You grew teeth beneath your tongue, fire inside your ribs, courage in the marrow of your bones. You stopped waiting for applause. You stopped begging for belonging. You stopped believing their version of you. And in the stillness, In the nights where sleep felt like an enemy and doubt chewed at your skull, you found the blade no one could take. Self-belief forged in suffering. That's the kind of belief they fear. Not the loud one, the lethal one. Because the quiet ones don't explode. They evolve. They rise like ghosts the world regrets creating. They return like storms too big to outrun. You didn't get lucky. You got relentless. And every person who smirked at your silence, they are about to choke on it. Because the thing they thought made you small, isolation, made you untouchable. Now they watch you with wide eyes, uneasy, confused, threatened. What happened to you? They whisper, as if they didn't help build the monster standing in front of them. They want to pretend you changed overnight, because it comforts them. Truth is, you bled for this. You swallowed years for this. You rebuilt bones for this. And in the silence they mocked, you sharpened your teeth. You bleed differently. Your scars aren't wounds. They are passwords to power. Not everyone survives what you survived. Not everyone walks through hell and comes back carrying flames. Most break, most fold, most cry for rescue and drown in their own tears. But you burned. And when the smoke cleared, something unrecognizable stood where the innocent once lived. You learned to rebuild muscle after every emotional fracture. Every heartbreak became steel. Every humiliation became bone armor. Every betrayal became a blueprint for dominance. Your pain wasn't a chapter. It was a factory. A silent assembly line where the version of you they could have beaten died, and the version they fear began breathing. Hunger taught you discipline. Despair taught you strategy. Hunger makes kings savage. Hunger turns wishes into weapons. Hunger creates beings who do not quit. They devour obstacles. And Despair is a cold-blooded teacher. Despair exposes every lie you once believed, including the lie that someone was coming to save you. No one came, no one clapped, no one cared. So you stopped waiting. You stopped hoping someone would hand you a destiny. You built one instead, with shaking hands, sleepless nights, and teeth clenched like a jaw wired in war. When the world dropped you, the ground didn't catch you. Fire did. And you learned to walk on flame like other people walk on carpet. Heat became normal. Pressure became oxygen. Struggle became habit. Most people fear breaking. You embraced it, because only shattered things discover the architecture of rebuilding. Survival hardened you. Nights without help weaponized you. When others slept safely, you wrestled darkness and doubt like enemies in your bed. When others dreamed, you calculated. When others whispered, you planned. There were nights where your heart wanted to surrender, where your chest felt like a battlefield of ghosts, where voices inside mocked you louder than the world outside ever could. But there is a kind of strength only born when nobody sees you surviving, and you earned it. Pain was your school. Silence was your teacher. Madness was your tutor. Pain sharpened your instincts. Silence trained your focus. Madness, oh madness, that was the blessing in disguise. Because you didn't break, you adapted, you evolved. You shed softness like dead skin, and grew iron where weakness once lived. prayed for blessings. You trained for war. They begged heaven to hand them comfort. You built hell into a gym and turned suffering into push-ups and purpose. They wanted easy. You learned endurance. They craved applause. You learned autonomy. They wanted luck. You learned discipline. And discipline beats luck every single lifetime. People like you aren't gifted. You are engineered by adversity, layer by layer, moment by moment, scar by scar. Every time someone underestimated you, your resolve sharpened. Every time someone ghosted you, your hunger grew teeth. Every time the world laughed, you learned to build in silence until noise wasn't necessary. Because results scream louder than validation ever could. You know what ruins most people? Comfort. Comfort kills more dreams than failure ever will. But you never had comfort. You had a fire, and fire purifies. The weak pray for calm seas. You learned to command storms. The weak hope for mercy. You learned to become the force mercy fears. Remember history. Betrayal built empires too. Caesar smiled until the knives touched his spine. Even legends bleed before they conquer. Even gods are made in graves before they rise in temples. So when they stabbed you with doubt, you didn't die. You learned anatomy. You learned motives. You learned intent. You learned silence, and then you learned how to make a return so powerful the world forgets it ever doubted you. Because broken people disappear. Forged people arrive. You weren't chosen. You were carved. Carved by rejection. Carved by disappointment. Carved by nights you questioned your own worth. Carved by mornings you rose anyway. You learned to move like a shadow. Quiet. Deadly. Focused. You learned to speak with results instead of excuses. Understand something. Pressure doesn't destroy diamonds. It reveals them. Pressure doesn't break warriors. It filters them. Pressure doesn't drown you. Unless you stop fighting. And you never stopped fighting. Even when your hands shook. Even when your voice cracked. Even when you stood alone and the world pretended not to see your war. You mastered pain like others master language. You breathed discipline like oxygen. You embraced the grind when nobody was watching, especially when nobody was watching. You bled quietly. You rebuilt quietly. You transformed quietly. And now every room you enter feels your presence before you speak. Every eye senses the storm behind your calm. Every fake friend regrets taking you lightly. You changed not because you wanted to, but because life forced you to evolve into something stronger than what tried to break you. And there is no going back. Not now. Not ever. They didn't expect you to survive. They never expected you to learn survival like a language. They never expected you to weaponize suffering into destiny. Lions aren't born. They survive childhood. There came a day when the pain stopped breaking you and started feeding you. It doesn't happen loud. It doesn't come with trumpets or cheers. It arrives in silence, the same silence they buried you in. It arrives like a cold breath on the back of your neck. The realization that you don't die here. You evolve here. There is always a moment, a shift, a snap inside your soul where fear stops being the enemy and becomes the engine. At first, pain crushes you. Then it pushes you. Then it becomes the reason you move when others rest. The reason you see opportunity where others see threats. The reason you rise when others fold. You stopped asking, why me? You started asking, why not me? That was the day the world lost its control over you. Because the moment you stopped running from the fire, you learned to walk through it. And once you learn to walk through flames, people who have only known warmth will fear you forever. You stopped fearing loneliness. You weaponized it. You stopped fearing doubt. You fed on it. You stopped fearing rejection. You used it as fuel. Every insult became a brick. Every betrayal a nail. Every disappointment a hammer. They didn't realize you were building an empire out of the ruins they left you in. You stopped praying for a miracle. You became one. Not the soft kind. The kind carved in bone and born from violence, silence, and sleepless hunger. The weak wait for signs. You created your own omens. The weak hope someone notices them. You became someone they can't ignore. Fear once froze you. Now fear obeys you. Now fear sits at your table, waiting for orders. Now fear trembles the moment your footsteps enter a room. You felt something ancient wake up inside you. A wolf remembering it has teeth. A king remembering his throne was stolen. A storm remembering it doesn't ask permission to destroy. That was the shift. That was the rebirth. That was the moment the world stopped creating your story and you started rewriting theirs. You looked at the mirror and didn't see a victim anymore. You saw a threat. You saw someone who survived what others would have collapsed under. Someone who crawled through hell and came back dragging fire behind them like a cloak. And with that realization came clarity. Nobody can break you now, because they already tried. Fear rewired into hunger. Doubt mutated into strategy. Pain became your compass. Rage became your discipline. Silence became your sanctuary. And then, the world noticed. Not because you asked it to, not because you begged for attention, but because power has a pulse, a frequency, a vibration made of scars and steel. And once you broadcast that frequency, everyone feels it, whether they want to or not. You stopped playing their game. You designed your own. A game where pain is not a prison, but a forge. A game where losing is not an end, but a beginning. A game where weakness is temporary and evolution is inevitable. It wasn't luck that brought you here. It was refusal. Refusal to quit. Refusal to die in silence. Refusal to be who they thought you were. You don't fear hitting bottom anymore because you built a palace there. You don't fear falling anymore because gravity is familiar. You don't fear darkness anymore because you became fluent in it. They thought a broken heart weakens you. They forgot a wounded heart grows armor. They thought isolation destroys you. They forgot isolation builds empires in shadows. You woke up one day and realized your greatest enemy was never the world. It was the part of you that believed the world. And once that part died, you became untouchable. You stopped looking for saviors. You became your own punishment and your own resurrection. You became your own sword and your own shield. And now every enemy that once laughed at you feels something crawling up their spine when your name is spoken. Not guilt, not regret, fear, pure, primal fear. Because you didn't get lucky, you got dangerous. Dangerous enough to rise without applause. Dangerous enough to hunt dreams instead of chase them. Dangerous enough to build what they swore you'd never touch. Dangerous enough to outgrow every cage they tried to bury you in. You aren't a comeback story. Comebacks imply you left. You never left. You were sharpening. They will call you sudden. They will call you unexpected. They will call you changed overnight. But you know the truth. There is no overnight in this story. There are years of silent battles they never saw. Years of invisible training they never respected. Years of dying to be reborn. Now when they see you, they will not understand you. They will only fear what they created. And they should, because the most frightening thing in this world is a human who survived becoming a ghost and returned breathing fire and dangerous winds where lucky dies. And anyone who ever thought you were finished now gets to watch you begin. And this time, you arrive unrecognizable, unmerciful, unstoppable. When you rise, you don't rise gentle. You rise like teeth in the dark. You don't float. You don't drift. You don't bloom like some peaceful flower in spring. You rise like a storm that remembers every village that mocked the clouds. You rise like a blade pulled from ancient bone. You rise like a roar that slept too long. Because this isn't a comeback. This is a coronation carved out of vengeance. Kings are born in palaces. Conquerors are born in wounds. And you were built in scars, not silk. People talk about growth like it's soft, like petals opening under sunshine. Your growth was different. Your growth was claws and teeth and nights, where you wondered if breathing even mattered. Yet you breathed anyway. Growth didn't hug you. It dragged you. It punched you until you learned to punch back. You didn't wake up confident. Confidence bled through you because doubt tried to drown you first. You didn't wake up strong. Strength arrived only after weakness humiliated you. And so you rose, not with grace but with grit, with rage in your ribs, with storms behind your eyes. You carry storms in your voice, iron in your spirit, war behind your eyes. Anyone who looks closely sees it. The quiet fury, the unshakable will, the violence in your stillness, and the world feels it. Rooms shift when you enter. Energy bends. People sit up straighter without knowing why. That's not arrogance. That's aftermath. You think this version of you exists by accident? No. This is evolution with blood on its teeth. You learned to move differently, not chasing, not asking, not begging. You move like someone who knows power isn't taken. Power is become. You no longer chase respect. You command it with silence. You no longer chase belonging. You build worlds where you are the gravity. Silence used to hurt you. Now silence obeys you. Silence bends around you like soldiers around a general. You don't need crowds. Crowds need you. Let them whisper. Let them pretend they don't see your rise. Let them act indifferent, because indifference is just fear hiding its face. They thought you'd rise politely. You rose like a knife through velvet. They thought you'd want applause. You want dominance, not loud, childish dominance. Real dominance. Dominance where people lower their tone when speaking your name. Dominance where absence is louder than their presence. Dominance where you don't have to prove anything anymore. Your existence is the proof. You don't crave the throne. You crave the battlefield that proves you earned it. You don't want cheap respect. You want earned fear, earned recognition, earned space in history's bloodstream. Because respect given freely dies fast. Respect earned through suffering lives forever. History bows to those who refuse to kneel. History remembers the relentless, the unforgiving, the ones who destroyed limits and built life from bones and ashes. Look at every empire. It wasn't built by gentle souls hoping to be liked. It was built by those who were willing to stand alone against the world, until the world bowed. They will wonder why they didn't destroy you when they had the chance. They will regret every moment they thought you were harmless. They will regret every smirk, every doubt, every whisper, and they should. Because you remember everything, not to suffer, but to conquer, not to cry, but to calculate. Your rise isn't emotional revenge. It's strategic justice, cold, measured, precise. You rise with patience, sharper than knives. You rise with discipline, deadlier than bullets. You rise with silence, louder than applause. And that is why they fear you, because you're not powered by pride. You're powered by purpose. You're not driven by ego. You're driven by inevitability. You don't rise to prove anything. You rise because it is written in the architecture of your bones that you do not stay ground level. You rise because gravity is a suggestion, not a law. And every person who tries to pull you down only strengthens your ascent. Because pulling down requires effort. And effort reveals envy. You rise because your blood remembers ancient war songs. Your ribs remember holding lightning. Your heart remembers beating under pressure that would fold lesser souls like paper. You rise not to join them, but to eclipse them. You rise like a star they prayed would burn out, only to realize it was a supernova. And here you stand now, a product of pain they ignored, a consequence of betrayal they laughed at, a wildfire they thought was a spark. You rise with dignity, but not softness. You rise with grace, but not mercy. You rise with pride, but a predator's calm. No screaming, no begging, no proving, just presence. Presence sharper than steel. Presence that feels like prophecy, and the world can sense it. You're not done. You're not even close. This is only the beginning, the overture, the quiet drum before war. They wanted you humble. You became holy. They wanted you obedient. You became inevitable. They wanted you quiet. You became a warning. You don't return to who you were, ever. The person you were died in the fire. The person you are walks out of it, carrying flames like wings. Every scar a crown, every hardship a throne, every silence a kingdom. You don't rise to the top, you rise above the top, where only the forgotten gods and unfinished legends breathe. You rise to a place with no competition, no equals, no peers. A place built for the relentless, for the scarred, for the chosen by pain. And now, the world does not get to question you. The world only gets to witness you, because your rise is not luck. Your rise is punishment for their doubt. Your rise is justice for your scars. Your rise is the crown forged from their disbelief. And as you ascend, you speak without words. You should have feared the quiet. You don't want their love. You want their silence when your shadow enters. Love is easy. Fear is earned. Respect can be faked. Silence cannot. Silence is instinct. Silence is recognition. Silence is surrender without words. You once wanted understanding, kindness, validation, a seat at their table. Then you learned some tables only exist to feed arrogance. Some hands only reach out to watch you kneel. Some hearts only open to swallow yours whole. So you stopped knocking on doors that were never built for you. You stopped waiting for a welcome. You stopped trying to be seen by eyes too dull to recognize destiny. And you built your own hall, your own table, your own throne, carved from every bruise they laughed at. Those who betrayed you will pretend they always believed in you, and their voices will shake when they say it, because liars tremble in front of truth that stands without apology. They will replay every moment they dismissed you, every smirk, every whisper, every time they called you dramatic, obsessed, overthinking, crazy. They meant dangerous, but they were too blind to see it then. They see it now. They feel it now, and it terrifies them. They won't admit guilt, but you will see fear in their pupils. Fear is honest. Fear doesn't lie. Fear doesn't negotiate, and your presence is fear's executioner. You don't punish with violence. You punish with existence. Your silence is a sentence. Your success is a verdict. Your elevation is the echo of their doubt collapsing. Your glow is not a spotlight. It is a torch in a tomb, lighting the truth they tried to bury. Your success is the sentence they serve for underestimating you. Your discipline is the ghost that haunts their comfort. Your evolution is the storm that rains on their certainty. They pray for peace now, but peace never prayed for them. Let them choke on the peace they never gave you. Let them swallow the silence you once drowned in. Let them taste the bitterness they served you like a feast. Do not raise your voice. You do not need to. You are not loud. You are inevitable. You are not aggressive. You are undeniable. You are not cruel. You are justice with no apology. The hunter they mocked now stalks the world they worship. And you don't chase prey. You reshape landscapes, so prey kneels willingly. They don't remember when they hurt you, only when you grew. They don't remember when they doubted you, only when you arrived. They don't remember their role, only the outcome. Good. Let their memory rot. It was useless anyway. You do not rise to prove them wrong. You rise because destiny demands witnesses. You rise because some evolution cannot be hidden. You rise because legends do not practice humility. They practice dominance. Victory is not your revenge. Becoming untouchable is. And now they stare like deer before a silent blade. Fragile, frozen, full of regret. They wonder why your eyes changed, why your shoulders carry storms, why your silence feels heavier than thunder. It's because you no longer live in reaction. You live in ascension. You learned to be still, like loaded weaponry. You learned to be quiet, like a deep ocean, calm until it decides to swallow civilizations. This is not anger. This is not spite. This is sovereignty. You are not returning to who you were. You are becoming everything they hoped you'd never reach. They wanted you small. You became seismic. They wanted you humble. You became holy. They wanted you wounded. You became weaponized. You are no longer chasing a throne. You are building continents around your footsteps. You are no longer proving worth. You are redefining it. Let them whisper. Whispers are prayers of the intimidated. Let them deny. Denial is confession in disguise. Let them stare. Staring is submission without language. You don't need applause. Your existence is applause. Your discipline is your anthem. Your solitude is your crown. You didn't rise to be liked. You rose to be remembered. People don't carve statues for the gentle. They carve statues for those who conquered themselves first, and the world second. You didn't become great to impress them. You became great because breathing as anything less felt like suffocating. You don't walk rooms for attention. Rooms adjust to your presence, like soldiers standing when a general enters. Respect is not given. Respect is gravity. You earned gravity, and now every step you take feels like prophecy walking in flesh. Every heartbeat sounds like war drums echoing in marble corridors of history. Let them fear the legend they provoked. Let them feel the weight of your shadow. Let them taste the echo of your silence like iron in their mouths. You didn't get lucky. You got lethal. Luck fades. Lethal stays. Luck chooses people. Lethal people choose destiny, and destiny does not negotiate with doubt. Destiny does not bargain with fear. Destiny does not apologize to comfort. Destiny demands sacrifice. And you paid in full. Let them tremble. Let them fold. Let them realize too late. You were never the danger they imagined. You were always the danger they underestimated. And now the world does not discuss you. It studies you. It adjusts to you. It prepares for you, like ancient civilizations fearing the return of gods. Your silence is prophecy. Your presence is judgment. Your rise is scripture. And the ones who once laughed are the first to kneel. You don't take a crown. You grow into one. Crowns aren't gifted. Crowns aren't inherited. Crowns aren't passed down through pity or privilege. Crowns form slowly, bone deep, under pressure and pain, layer by layer, like armor grown under skin. You weren't invited to royalty. You weren't groomed for greatness. You weren't chosen by anyone but agony. And the world hates when a throne goes to someone pain-raised instead of privilege. They don't fear kings born in palaces. They fear kings forged in silence, sharpened by solitude, awakened by suffering. Because those kings do not owe kindness. Those kings are not fooled by flattery. Those kings remember every door that never opened, every betrayal served with a smile, every moment they stood alone and still stood up. You became that kind of king. You became the consequence of every hand that didn't help. You became the result of every voice that said, "Stay down." You became the punishment for every doubt they aimed at your destiny. You became the storm they prayed would pass. And instead, you became the sky. They wanted you broken. You became breathing armor. They wanted you tame. You became sacred fire. They wanted you forgotten. You became unforgettable. They didn't see the training done in your loneliness. They didn't hear the vows you whispered to yourself in the dark. They didn't witness the nights you rose when sleep tried to bury you. They saw nothing, and so they assumed nothing was happening. But power grows quietly. Legends bloom in silence. Empires rise in breaths no one hears. Until suddenly, the world wakes up, and you are everywhere. Your presence is not loud, it is law. Your confidence is not arrogance, it is evidence. Your silence is not weakness, it is sovereignty. You will not shrink to make them comfortable. You will not soften to make them stay. You will not dim to be accepted by dim people. You became the standard. You became the measure. You became the threat evolution warned them about. They will tell stories of you, not of your kindness, but your consequences. Not of your smiles, but your storms. Not of how you tried, but how you refused to die in the dirt you started in. You are the chapter they never planned to read, the character they never prepared to face, the ending they never saw coming. Power is not a throne. Power is when the world adjusts to your existence. Power is when silence bows at your arrival. Power is when those who once mocked you now mimic your every move. Power is when doubt finally kills itself in shame, and you carry that power without apology, because you earned every inch of it. When they laughed, you trained. When they slept, you built. When they lied, you stayed real. When they tried to bury you, you rooted deeper. You're not motivated by revenge. Revenge is too small. You're motivated by destiny, by purpose, by inevitability. You are the storm. You are the proof. You are the prophecy they laughed at until it arrived. Others dream of victory. You embody inevitability. Others chase crowns. You became the fettered throne. You don't walk like you belong. You walk like you are owed, not by the world, but by the version of you who never quit, by the nights that nearly killed you, by the faith that refused to die. You bow to nothing now, not fear, not doubt, not memory. You don't need to announce who you are. The world feels it in the tremor of your silence. You earned peace through war. You earned clarity through chaos. You earned power through pain. You did not rise clean. You rose carved and scarred and crowned by suffering. And now even fate hesitates before touching you. Now even destiny respects you. Now the universe doesn't test you, it follows you. Because there are two kinds of stories in this world, those that are written and those who rewrite history. You are the latter. You are the rewrite. You are the correction. You are the force destiny underestimated before it learned better. You didn't just come back. You ascended. You didn't just survive. You surpassed. You didn't just rise. You erupted. And now the world watches, terrified, as you sharpen peace into a weapon. You are not a survivor anymore. You are an era, and eras do not ask permission. They take their place. They carve their throne. They sit, unchallenged, unbroken, unbothered, and anyone who doubts again, they will meet not your anger, but your legacy.